Students, welcome to my YouTube channel, Your Short Questions with Narayan. In this video, we will be discussing about Indian history, ancient and medieval India, of long answer type questions, which are important by reading for CUET, your semester exams, Union Public Service Commission, State PCS, UGC-NET history, and other competitive exams of India. So let's start from question number 1. Analyze the key causes and consequences of the major rebellions during Aurangzeb's rule. Aurangzeb's rule 1658 to 1707 was marked by numerous rebellions which posed significant challenges to the Mughal Empire's stability. These rebellions stemmed from various political, economic, religious and regional grievances. Causes of the rebellions: religious policies. Aurangzeb's imposition of Islamic orthodoxy, such as reintroducing the jizya tax on non-Muslims and demolishing Hindu temples, alienated large sections of the Hindu population, particularly the Rajputs and Marathas. Second is the centralization of power. Aurangzeb's attempts to centralize authority reduced the autonomy of regional powers, leading to resistance from provincial rulers like the Rajputs, Sikhs and Marathas. Economic exploitation. Heavy taxation to fund military campaigns and extravagant projects created discontent among peasants and zamindars, fueling agrarian revolts. Military overreach. Aurangzeb's prolonged campaigns in the Deccan overstretched the Mughal military and drained the empire's treasury, weakening its ability to suppress uprisings effectively. Major rebellions of that period: Maratha uprising. Led by Shivaji, the Marathas challenged Mughal dominance in the Deccan. They effectively utilized guerrilla warfare and established a parallel administration, undermining Mughal authority in the region. Second rebellion is Rajput rebellion. Aurangzeb's interference in the internal affairs of the Rajput kingdoms, particularly in Marwad, led to a prolonged conflict. The Rajputs eventually allied with other regional powers against the Mughals. Sikh rebellion. Guru Tegh Bahadur's execution in 1675 and subsequent actions by Guru Gobind Singh led to growing Sikh resistance, culminating in the formation of the Khalsa in 1699. Jat rebellion. Peasant communities in the Agra and Mathura regions, led by leaders like Gokula and Rajaram, revolted against high taxes and Mughal oppression. Rebellion in the Deccan. Local rulers such as Qutub Shahis and the Adil Shahis resisted Mughal annexation efforts, creating persistent instability in the south. Consequences of rebellions: weakened central authority. The rebellions diverted resources and attention, making it difficult for Aurangzeb to govern effectively. Depletion of resources. The financial strain of constant warfare exhausted the imperial treasury and undermined the economic stability of the empire. Rise of regional powers. The weakening of Mughal authority provided opportunities for regional powers such as the Marathas, Sikhs, and later the British to assert dominance. Religious and social polarization. Aurangzeb's policies deepened communal divisions, creating long-term social and political challenges. Decline of the Mughal Empire. The cumulative impact of these rebellions marked the beginning of the empire's decline, which accelerated after Aurangzeb's death in 1707. Question number 2. Explain in detail the administrative system of Sher Shah Suri. Answer is: the administrative system of Sher Shah Suri, who ruled during the mid-16th century, is renowned for its efficiency, organization, and long-lasting influence on the subsequent rulers, including the Mughals. His reforms included centralized governance, revenue administration, military reforms, and public warfare. Central administration. Let's go one by one. King as the supreme authority. Sher Shah held absolute power and was actively involved in governance. His decisions were final in administrative, military, and judicial matters. Council of Ministers. He was assisted by a group of ministers, including key officials like the Wazir, the Chief Minister, the Diwani Arsh, the military head, and Diwani Insha, the charge of correspondence. Provincial administration. Sher Shah divided his empire into provinces, which were further divided into sarkars and parganas. Each sarkar was governed by a shikdar, that is the military head, and a munsif, who is the revenue officer. In parganas, officials such as the Amin and Kanungo ensured the proper collection of revenue and justice. Still to go, revenue administration. Sher Shah introduced a scientific revenue system based on measurement and assessment of land. Land measurement, that is Jabt system. Land was measured and produced estimates were made to fix revenue rates. Revenue was generally fixed at 1/3 of the produce paid in cash or kind. Records and documentation. He maintained accurate records of land holdings, ensuring transparency and fairness. Third is military reforms. Sher Shah established a centralized and disciplined military. Soldiers were recruited directly by the state and paid in cash, reducing reliance on feudal lords. Branding system, DAG. Horses were branded to prevent fraud. Regular inspection of soldiers and their equipment ensured combat readiness. Judicial administration. Sher Shah was known for his swift and impartial justice. The king acted as the highest court of appeal. Village elders and officials at the local level settled minor disputes. Public welfare. Sher Shah constructed an extensive network of roads, including the famous GT Road, which is also known as Grand Tank Road, which improved trade, communication, and administration. Question number 3. Examine the disadvantages of the agrarian system in India during the pre-independence period. How did these shortcomings affect the rural economy and the lives of peasants? Answer. Disadvantages of the agrarian system. High revenue demands. The colonial administration imposed excessive land revenue demands, often unrelated to the actual agriculture yield. Under the Jamindari system, landlords were tasked with collecting taxes and peasants faced severe penalties or eviction for non-payment. Exploitation by intermediaries. Systems like Jamindari introduced a class of absentee landlords who prioritized revenue collection over agricultural development. This led to exploitation of the peasants who bore the brunt of high rents and arbitrary demands. Lack of investment in agriculture. Landlords and colonial authorities showed little interest in investing in agricultural infrastructure such as irrigation, roads, and storage facilities. This neglect left farmers vulnerable to droughts, floods, and crop failures. Indebtedness of peasants. Peasants often relied on moneylenders to pay taxes and meet daily needs. High interest rates and compounding debt trapped them in a cycle of poverty, leading to the loss of land and livelihoods. Fragmentation of land holdings. Over time, land holdings became smaller due to inheritance practices and debt-related land sales. Fragmentation reduced agricultural productivity and made mechanization or efficient farming practices impossible. Sixth point, vulnerability to natural calamities. The agrarian system did not account for fluctuations in agricultural output caused by droughts, floods, or pests. Peasants were still required to pay fixed taxes, leading to widespread famine and hardship during bad harvests. 7. Lack of incentive for farmers. With no ownership rights under systems like Zamindari, tenants lacked motivation to improve agriculture practices or investment in land development. This stagnated agriculture progress. Social inequality and land concentration. The agrarian system reinforced social hierarchies Land ownership was concentrated in the hands of a few wealthy zamindars, leaving the majority of the rural population landless or marginal landholders. Question number 4. How was the administrative system during the reign of Shivaji? The administrative system during the reign of Shivaji Maharaj was highly organized and efficient, designed to consolidate his empire and ensure the welfare of his subjects. Shivaji established a centralized government, blending traditional practices with innovative reforms to strengthen his administration. Point 1. Central administration. King as the supreme authority. Shivaji was the central figure in the administration, holding absolute power. He personally supervised all departments and ensured their efficiency. Council of Ministers, Ashtapradhan. Shivaji established an 8-member council to assist him in governance. Point 2. Provincial administration. Shivaji divided his empire into provinces, which were further divided into talukas and villages. Each province was headed by a subedar or provincial governor, responsible for law and order, revenue collection, and military readiness. Deshmukhs and Deshpandes were local officials responsible for tax collection and village administration. Point 3. Revenue administration. Shivaji implemented a fair and systematic revenue policy to prevent exploitation. Land revenue system. Revenue was assessed based on land fertility and productivity, generally fixed at 1/3 of the produce payable in cash or kind. Shivaji abolished intermediaries like zamindars and collected revenue directly from farmers to prevent corruption. Regular land surveys ensured accurate assessment. Military administration. Shivaji maintained a highly organized and disciplined military. Standing army and navy. Shivaji maintained a standing army loyal to the state, with soldiers receiving regular salaries. He also developed a formidable navy to protect his coastline. Fort system. Forts were backbone of his military strategy. Each fort was managed by a fort commander with a garrison of soldiers. Guerrilla warfare. Shivaji's innovative guerrilla tactics enabled him to defeat much larger forces. Public welfare. Shivaji prioritized the welfare of his subjects, promoting agricultural development and trade. Infrastructure development. He constructed roads, dug wells, and built water reservoirs to facilitate trade and improve living conditions. Religious tolerance. Shivaji was a devout Hindu but respected all religions, ensuring harmony in his empire. Moving to question number 5. Examine the military strategies employed by Shivaji Maharaj to establish and expand the Maratha Empire. How did these strategies contribute to his success against larger and more resourceful adversaries? Answer. Shivaji Maharaj, 1630 to 1680, the founder of the Maratha Empire, is renowned for his exceptional military strategies and innovative tactics, which allowed him to successfully challenge the might of the Mughal Empire, the Bijapur Sultanate, and other adversaries. Despite limited resources, Shivaji's strategic acumen and guerrilla warfare techniques became the cornerstone of his military success. Key military strategies of Shivaji Maharaj. Guerrilla warfare, known as Ganimi Kawa. Shivaji is celebrated for his use of guerrilla tactics, which involve swift attacks, ambushes, and retreats. This method capitalized on the Maratha soldiers' familiarity with the rugged terrain of the Western Ghats, enabling them to outmaneuver larger and slower enemy forces. Strategic fortification. Shivaji constructed and captured forts in strategic locations, particularly in the Sahyadri ranges. Forts like Raigad, Sinhagad, and Pratapgarh served as strongholds for defense and control over the key trade routes. These forts were interconnected, ensuring supply chains and providing safe retreats. Use of terrain. The rugged and mountainous terrain of the Deccan Plateau was integral to Shivaji's strategy. He trained his forces to fight in these challenging conditions, giving them a significant advantage over his adversaries who were often unfamiliar with the region. Intelligence network. Shivaji maintained an extensive and efficient espionage system. Spies provided critical information about enemy movements, allowing them to anticipate and counter attacks effectively. Mobile and agile forces. Shivaji's army was known for its speed and mobility. He avoided prolonged battles and sieges, preferring quick and decisive engagements that minimize casualties and resources expenditure. Navy deployment. Recognizing the importance of coastal defense, Shivaji built a strong navy, establishing naval bases at places like Sindhudurg and Vijayadurg. This helped secure the Konkan coastline and countered threats from the Siddhis, Portuguese and British. Diplomatic alliances. Shivaji skillfully used diplomacy to neutralize threats and form alliances. He signed treaties such as the Treaty of Purandar with the Mughals in 1665 to buy time and consolidated power when necessary. Psychological warfare. Shivaji employed psychological tactics to demoralize his enemies. His bold raids, such as the attack on Shaista Khan's camp in Pune and the plundering of Surat, showcased his audacity and diminished the enemy's morale. Question number 6. Discuss the origins, administrations, cultural contributions and decline of the Satavahana dynasty. Highlight their significance in Indian history. The Satavahanas were one of the most prominent dynasties in early Indian history, ruling in the Deccan region from 1st century BC to 3rd century CE. Their contribution to polity, culture and trade played a significant role in shaping early Indian civilization. Origin of the Satavahanas. The Satavahanas emerged after the decline of the Mauryan Empire. They initially served as feudatories under the Mauryas but later declared independence. Simuka is considered the founder of the dynasty and Gautamiputra Satakarni is hailed as their greatest ruler. Administration, kingship. The Satavahana rulers adopted titles such as Raja Raja and Maharaja. They portrayed themselves as upholders of Vedic traditions while also promoting religious tolerance. Feudal system. They granted lands to Brahmins and officials, which laid the foundation for the feudal system in India. Local governance. Provinces were administered by governors and local officials managed by towns and villages. Matriarchy. Women played a significant role in the dynasty. Many inscriptions highlight the contributions of royal women such as Gautami Balashri, mother of Gautamiputra Satakarni. Cultural contributions. The Satavahanas made remarkable contribution to Indian culture, particularly in art, architecture and religion. Art and architecture. They patronized the construction of stupas, viharas and chatyas, such as the Amravati stupa and the Nasik caves. Religious tolerance. They supported both Vedic traditions and Buddhism. Brahminical sacrifices coexisted with Buddhist monuments reflecting their inclusive outlook. Literature. The Satavahanas promoted Prakrit as their court language. Notable works like Gatha Saptashati, a collection of Prakrit poems, were composed during their reign. Economic achievements. The Satavahanas played a significant role in the growth of trade and commerce. Maritime trade. They established trade links with the Roman Empire, evident from Roman coins found in their territory. Agriculture. Land revenue was a primary source of income. They also encouraged irrigation and agrarian reforms. Guilds. Merchant guilds flourished, acting as key players in trade and providing economic stability. Decline of the Satavahanas. The Satavahana dynasty began to decline in the 3rd century CE due to various reasons. The reasons are feudal issues. The growing power of feudatories weakened central authority. External invasions. Invasions by the Sakas and the rise of the western Kshatrapas diminished their influence. Fragmentation. The empire disintegrated into smaller states, leading to the rise of regional powers. Question number 7. Discuss the contributions of Chandragupta Maurya to the foundation of the Mauryan Empire. How did his leadership, military strategies and administration shape the empire's success? Answer. Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Mauryan Empire, was one of the ancient India's most remarkable rulers. He unified a fragmented Indian subcontinent, overthrowing the Nanda dynasty and establishing the first centralized empire in Indian history. His leadership, military acumen and administrative reforms laid the foundation for one of the most significant empires of the ancient world. Contribution to the foundation of the Mauryan Empire, overthrow of the Nanda dynasty. Chandragupta, with the guidance and support of his mentor Chanakya, overthrew the oppressive Nanda rulers of Magadha. This marked the beginning of the Mauryan Empire, centered at Pataliputra, which is modern-day Patna. Unification of India. Chandragupta's conquest extended across northern and central India, unifying vast territories under a single administration. He established control over regions such as Punjab, Gandhar and Magadh, creating a centralized empire. Defeat of the Seleucids. After Alexander the Great's retreat, Chandragupta challenged the Seleucid Empire ruled by Seleucus I Nicator. The Treaty of 305 BC resulted in Chandragupta gaining control of territories west of the Indus River, including parts of present-day Afghanistan and Baluchistan, solidifying his western frontier. Strategic alliances. As a part of the treaty with Seleucus, Chandragupta gave 500 war elephants, which strengthened the relations with the Hellenistic world. He also secured a marriage alliance which contributed to diplomatic ties. Military strategies. Large standing army. Chandragupta maintained a well-trained, massive army reputed to include 6 lakhs infantry, 30,000 cavalry and 9,000 war elephants. This formidable force allowed him to both conquer and defend his territories effectively. Use of fortification. Strategic fortifications and secure supply chains ensured his military campaigns were well supported. Espionage and intelligence. Chanakya's Arthashastra emphasized the importance of espionage, and Chandragupta employed a vast network of spies to gather intelligence, preempting enemy moves and ensuring internal stability. Administrative reforms. Centralized administration. Chandragupta introduced a highly centralized system of governance. The empire was divided into provinces, each governed by a viceroy, and further subdivided into districts and villages for efficient administration. Revenue system. A systematic taxation policy was implemented with revenue collected from agriculture, trade and other economic activities. The funds were used for military expenses and public welfare projects. Question number 8. Explain in depth the governance and administration structure implemented by the Jat ruler Sureshmal. Answer. Administrative system of Jat ruler Sureshmal. Introduction. Sureshmal, often referred to as the plateau of the Jat community and the Jat Ulysses, was one of the most remarkable rulers of 18th century India. As the ruler of Bharatpur, he established a strong and efficient administrative system that contributed significantly to the prosperity of his kingdom. The main features were central administration. Sureshmal followed a centralized form of governance with clear delegation of responsibilities. The king as the supreme authority. Sureshmal was the central authority in the administrative structure. He was not only the head of state but also directly involved in decision making, particularly concerning military and revenue matters. Council of Ministers. Sureshmal was assisted by a council of ministers who were appointed based on merit and loyalty. Provincial and local administration. Sureshmal divided his kingdom into smaller administrative units for efficient governance. Division into provinces. The kingdom was divided into provinces, each governed by a provincial head known as Subedar, who was responsible for law enforcement, tax collection and maintaining peace. Village administration. Villages formed the base of the administrative system. Village headmen, that is Mukhias, were responsible for day-to-day administration, resolving disputes and collecting taxes. Revenue system. Surajmal's revenue system was a hallmark of his administration, designed to ensure fairness and efficiency. Land revenue. Agriculture was the backbone of the Jat economy, and land revenue formed the primary source of income. Revenue was assessed based on the fertility of the soil and the nature of the crops cultivated. Farmers were taxed reasonably to avoid oppression. Irrigation development. Surajmal took significant measures to develop irrigation facilities which boosted agricultural productivity and consequently the revenue. Military administration. Surajmal maintained a well-organized and disciplined military force, which was a key factor in his ability to expand and defend his territory. Composition of the army. The army comprised infantry, cavalry, artillery, and war elephants. Local recruits formed a significant part of the army, ensuring loyalty and motivation. Fortifications. Surajmal built and maintained several forts, including the famous Lohagarh fort, known for its impregnable design. These forts served both defensive and administrative purposes. Guerrilla warfare. His military strategies often included guerrilla tactics, leveraging the rugged terrain of his kingdom to outmaneuver larger enemy forces. Question number 9. Analyze the reign of Emperor Ashoka with reference to his policies, administration, and contribution to the spread of Buddhism. How did his rule shape the Mauryan Empire and its legacy? Emperor Ashoka, one of the greatest rulers in Indian history, ascended the Mauryan throne after a series of military campaigns. His reign was marked by a transformative shift from conquest to governance based on moral and ethical principles. Following his embrace of Buddhism after the Kalinga War, his policies, administrative reforms, and propagation of Buddhism significantly shaped the Mauryan Empire and its enduring legacy. Ashoka's early reign and the Kalinga War. Military campaigns. Ashoka initially followed a policy of territorial expansion. The conquest of Kalinga, a prosperous region in modern-day Odisha, was a defining event in his reign. Despite his military victory, the war was caused massive devastation, with accounts claiming 1 lakh deaths and widespread suffering. Transformation after Kalinga War. Witnessing the horrors of the war deeply affected Ashoka. He renounced violence and adopted Dhamma, the moral law, as the guiding principle of his rule. This transformation marked a turning point in Indian history as Ashoka became a proponent of peace and non-violence. Policies and administration under Ashoka. Adoption of Dhamma. Ashoka's Dhamma was a code of ethical conduct emphasizing non-violence, compassion, respect for all life forms, and religious tolerance. It was not a religion but a moral philosophy aimed at creating harmony in society. Edicts of Ashoka. Ashoka communicated his policies through inscriptions on pillars and rocks across his empire. These edicts, written in Prakriti and local languages, provided insight into his administration and ideology. Key themes included respect for elders, care for animals, promotion of welfare, and religious tolerance. Centralized administration. Ashoka strengthened the Mauryan administration. The empire was divided into provinces governed by royal appointees with an efficient bureaucracy to ensure law and order. Welfare measures. Ashoka implemented several public welfare policies, including the construction of hospitals, rest houses, roads, and wells. These projects improved trade, communication, and the quality of life for his subjects. Promotion of religious harmony. Ashoka encouraged respect for all religions and sects, emphasizing unity through diversity. His policies reflected a pluralistic vision for society. Question number 10. Provide a comprehensive analysis of Akbar's administrative system. Answer. Administrative system of Akbar. Akbar, one of the greatest rulers of the Mughal Empire, is renowned for his administrative brilliance. Central administration. The emperor is supreme authority. Akbar was the ultimate decision maker and head of the administration. He assumed titles such as Padshah and Badshah and Sahansah, emphasizing his sovereignty. Council of Ministers. Akbar appointed a council of ministers to assist him in various administrative matters. Key officials were Wazir for the revenue department, Mir Bakshi for the military and land grants, Mir Saman for the royal household, and Sadr Us Sudur for religious and charitable affairs. Imperial Court, that is Diwan-e-Khas and Diwan-e-Aam. The Diwan-e-Khas was a private council for confidential discussion. The Diwan-e-Aam was the public court where Akbar heard grievances and administered justice. Provincial administration. Akbar divided the empire into subhas, ensuring effective governance. Subha structure. Each subha was administered by a subedar responsible for law and order. A diwan managed the revenue in each province. A qazi oversaw judicial matters. Other officials included the kotwal, the police officer, and bakshi, the military commander. Revenue system. Akbar implemented significant revenue reforms to streamline taxation and enhance efficiency. Todarmal's Bandobast, that is land revenue system, introduced by Raja Todarmal. This system assessed land revenue based on crop yields, soil fertility, and area under cultivation. Revenue was fixed as 1/3 of the average produce payable in cash or kind. Jamindari system. Jamindars acted as intermediaries between the state and the peasants, collecting revenue and maintaining local order. Military administration. Akbar's military system, known as the Mansabdari system, was a unique administrative structure. What is Mansabdari system? Officers called Mansabdars were ranked based on their jat, personal status, and sawar, that is number of cavalry they maintained. Mansabdars were granted jagirs for their services but were transferable to prevent regional loyalties. Standing army. Akbar maintained a standing army equipped with firearms, artillery, and war elephants. His military campaigns expanded the Mughal Empire and ensured internal stability. Question number 11. Examine the contributions of King Kanishka of the Kushan Empire to the cultural, religious, and political development in ancient India. How did his reign influence trade, Buddhism, and the arts? Kanishka, a prominent ruler of the Kushan Empire, is celebrated for his significant contribution to the cultural, religious, and political history of ancient India. Known as the patron of Buddhism, a promoter of trade along the Silk Road, and a pioneer in art and culture, Kanishka's reign marked a golden era in the history of the Kushan Empire. Territorial conquest. Kanishka expanded the Kushan Empire to its greatest extent, encompassing vast territories from Central Asia to northern India. His empire stretched from the Oxus River to the Ganges Plains, including regions like Gandhar, Kashmir, and parts of present-day Afghanistan and China. Capital cities. Kanishka established two capitals, Purushapura, that is Peshawar, and Mathura. These cities became centers of administration, trade, and culture during his reign. Centralized administration. He maintained a well-organized administrative system that facilitated the governance of his vast empire. The use of multiple languages, including Greek, Kharosthi, Brahmi, and Bactrian, reflected the empire's diversity. Role in trade and economy. Silk Road trade. Kanishka's empire controlled key trade routes along the Silk Road, fostering commerce between the Roman Empire, Central Asia, and China. Goods such as silk, spices, and precious metals flowed through his empire, boosting economic prosperity. Cultural exchange. The bustling trade routes facilitate the exchange of ideas, religions, and artistic traditions, making the Kushan Empire a melting pot of cultures. Coinage. Kanishka issued gold and copper coins featuring a blend of Greek, Indian, and Central Asian iconography. These coins not only supported trade but also symbolized the the syncretism of his empire. Religious contributions. Patronage to Buddhism. Kanishka is renowned for his patronage of Buddhism. He is believed to have convened the fourth Buddhist council in Kashmir, which played a crucial role in the compilation and dissemination of Buddhist texts, particularly in the Mahayana tradition. Spread of Buddhism. Under Kanishka's reign, Buddhism spread beyond India to Central Asia and China. He sent missionaries and supported the translation of Buddhist texts into Central Asian language. Question number 12. Discuss the three impacts of the agrarian system. The agrarian system, which involves the organization of agriculture production, land ownership and revenue collection, has had a significant impact on society, economy and governance. Below are the three key impacts of such systems. 1. Economic impact. Agricultural productivity and revenue generation. The agrarian system directly influences the economy by determining agriculture productivity and state revenues, increased agriculture output. Efficient systems promote better land use, irrigation and cultivation techniques, boosting agricultural yield. Revenue collection. Governments, especially during historical periods like the Mughal Empire, relied heavily on land revenue as the primary source of income. Rural economy. The agrarian structure shapes the economic activities in rural areas, including trade of surplus produce, employment and market development. Social impact. Hierarchy and land ownership patterns. The agrarian system often creates and sustains social hierarchies based on land ownership. Class division. Systems like feudalism or zamindari establish clear divisions between landowners and cultivators. Tenant relationships. Sharecropping and tenancy agreements sometimes led to exploitation of farmers by landowners. Social stability or unrest. Equitable agrarian systems of fostered stability, while exploitative ones triggered revolts and conflicts, such as peasant uprisings in colonial India. Point 3. Political impact. Power dynamics and governance. Agrarian systems significantly influence political structures and relationships between rulers and subjects. Control of land revenue. Efficient land revenue systems like Akbar's Todarmal reforms strengthen the administrative capacity of empires. Power concentration. Landowners often exercise significant local power, shaping regional politics and influencing central governance. Policy influence. Agrarian issues such as land reforms have historically driven political movements and policy making as seen in post-independence India. Question number 13. Explain the concept of the state in ancient India, highlighting its origin, elements and functions. The concept of the state in ancient India was deeply rooted in dharma and governance principles as laid down in texts like the Vedas, Dharma Shastras, Manusmriti and Arthashastra. Ancient Indian thinkers viewed the state as an institution necessary for maintaining order, ensuring justice and facilitating the prosperity of society. Origin of the state. The divine origin theory. Ancient text often describes the state as divinely ordained. Kingship was considered a sacred duty bestowed by the gods to uphold dharma. Social contract theory. The Mahabharata and Shanti Parva suggest that the state originated when people, plagued by chaos, collectively agreed to appoint a ruler to enforce order. Elements of the state. The concept of the state in ancient India comprised 7 essential elements, that is Saptanga theory as elaborated in the Arthashastra by Kautilya. Swami, the king. The ruler was the central authority responsible for maintaining law, order and justice. Amatyas, the council of ministers. They assisted the king in governance, administration and policy making. Janapad, the territory and people. The state needed a well-defined geographical area with a population that contributed to its economy. Durg, that is forts. Forts and infrastructure provided for protection and ensured economic stability. Kosha, the treasury. A well-managed treasury was vital for defense, welfare and administration. Dand, that is army and justice and punishment. The army protected the state while the justice system ensured adherence to dharma. Mitra, the allies. Allies provided external support in times of war or crisis. Function of the state: maintenance of law and order, ensuring internal peace by resolving disputes and preventing crime, protection from external threats, safeguarding the state from invasions and foreign aggression, economic prosperity, managing resources, agriculture, trade and taxes to ensure the prosperity of the people, social welfare, supporting education, public health and infrastructure development for social growth, enforcement of dharma, promoting moral and ethical values to maintain harmony in the society. Key texts and philosophers: Manusmriti outlines the duties of the king and the administration of justice. Arthashastra, written by Kautilya, it provides detailed instructions on governance, diplomacy and economic policies. Shanti Parva of Mahabharata discusses the duties of a ruler and the importance of dharma in governance. Question number 14. Outline the sequence of key events during the medieval period in Indian history. Early medieval period 750 to 1200 CE. Rise of regional kingdoms. Palas in eastern India. The Pala dynasty ruled by Bengal and Bihar, supporting Buddhism and establishing Nalanda and Vikramshila universities. Point 2. Rashtrakutas in Deccan. Rashtrakutas became a dominant power in the Deccan with contribution to art and architecture, including the Ellora caves. Cholas in South India. The Chola Empire expanded into Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia, fostering maritime trade and building grand temples like the Brihadeswara temple in Tanjore. Arrival of Islam. In the 8th century CE, Muhammad bin Qasim conquered Sindh, making the beginning of Islamic influence in India. This laid the foundation for cultural exchange between India and the Islamic world. Tripartite struggle. A prolonged conflict between the Palas, Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas for control over Kannauj, a symbolically important city. Rajput era. Rajput clans emerged as powerful rulers in northern and central India, establishing kingdoms like Mewad, Marwad and Bundelkhand. Later medieval period, the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate marked the establishment of Muslim rule in northern India. Slave dynasty. Founded by Qutbuddin Aibak, this period saw the construction of the Qutub Minar and consolidation of Delhi as the power center. Khilji dynasty. Under rulers like Alauddin Khilji, the empire expanded into southern India. Tughlaq dynasty, known for ambitious projects like building new capitals but faced rebellions and invasions. Sayyid and Lodi dynasties, marked by decline, eventually replaced by the Mughals after the first battle of Panipat. The Vijayanagar Empire. In South India, the Vijayanagar Empire became a dominant Hindu kingdom, noted for its prosperity and contribution to art, culture and architecture. It declined after its defeat at the Battle of Talikota. The Mughal Empire. The Mughals ushered in a golden era of art, architecture and centralized governance. The key rulers included Babur, 1526 to 1530, founder of the Mughal dynasty, victorious in the first battle of Panipat. Akbar, 1556 to 1605, known for his administrative reforms, religious tolerance and cultural patronage. Shah Jahan, 1628 to 1658, built the Taj Mahal and Red Fort, symbolizing Mughal architectural grandeur. Aurangzeb, 1658 to 1707, expanded the empire to its largest extent but faced significant rebellions. Question number 15. Discuss the concept of government in ancient India, emphasizing its structure, functions and guiding principles. The concept of government in ancient India was intricately linked to the idea of dharma. Government was seen as a necessary institution to ensure societal harmony, justice and the well-being of the people. Ancient Indian texts like the Vedas, Dharma Shastras, Manusmriti and Arthashastra provide detailed insights into the organization and functioning of governments in that era. Structure of government. The government in ancient India was hierarchical and consisted of various levels to ensure efficient administration. Monarchical system. The prevalent form of government was monarchy, where the king was the supreme authority. The king was considered the upholder of dharma and the guardian of the state. Councils and assemblies. The king was advised by a council of ministers comprising experts in various fields like law, finance and military. Assemblies like the Sabha and Samiti played advisory and decision-making roles. Local administration. Local governments was managed by village councils and district level officials. These councils ensured the implementation of policies and resolved local disputes. Role of Dharma. Governments was guided by the principle of Dharma, which provided the moral and legal framework for ruling. Functions of the government. Maintenance of law and order. Ensuring internal peace by implementing laws, resolving disputes and punishing offenders. The king acted as the chief judge supported by courts. Defense and protection. Safeguarding the kingdom from external threats through a well-organized army. Kautilya's Arthashastra emphasizes the importance of a strong defense system. Economic administration. Collection of taxes, regulation of trade and management of state resources. Development of agriculture and infrastructure was prioritized to ensure prosperity. Social welfare and public works. Construction of roads, wells, temples and other public facilities. Providing aid during natural disasters like droughts or floods. Diplomacy and foreign relations. Maintaining alliances and treaties with neighboring states. Kautilya's Mandala theory outlined strategies for international relations and warfare. Coming to question number 16, discuss the administrative system during the reign of Alauddin Khilji. Administrative system. Alauddin Khilji, 1296 to 1316 CE, the second ruler of the Khilji dynasty, is remembered for his innovative administrative reforms aimed at consolidating power, stabilizing the economy and strengthening the military. His system emphasized centralization, efficiency and control over both nobility and the general populace. Below is an overview of his administrative system. Centralized governance. Alauddin Khilji established a highly centralized administration where he exercised absolute authority over civil and military matters. Sultan as the supreme authority. Alauddin concentrated power in his hands and reduced the influence of the nobility and the clergy. He strictly curtailed their privileges to prevent conspiracies. Council of Ministers. He appointed trusted advisors to oversee various departments. Military administration. Alauddin Khilji is particularly noted for his military innovations which strengthened the Sultanate against Mongol invasions and rebellions. Standing army. He maintained a large, well-equipped standing army funded by his economic reforms. Cash payment systems. Soldiers were paid in cash rather than through land grants, ensuring loyalty and reducing the influence of military commanders. Dag and Chehra system. Introduced branding of horses and a descriptive role of soldiers to prevent corruption and ensure transparency in the military. Revenue and economic reforms. To fund his military campaigns and ensure stability, Alauddin implemented extensive revenue reforms. Land revenue system. Revenue was assessed based on land measurement and fixed at 50% of the agriculture produce. Direct collection from peasants minimized the role of intermediaries like zamindars. Social and political control. Alauddin sought to maintain strict control over society to prevent uprisings and challenges to his authority. Policy of espionage. He established an efficient spy network to monitor the activities of nobles and detect conspiracies. Ban on alcohol and social gathering. To reduce dissent, He prohibited wine drinking and social assemblies among the nobility. Marriage restrictions. Nobles required the Sultan's approval to form matrimonial alliances, preventing the creation of powerful factions. Public welfare and infrastructure. While his rule was primarily authoritarian, Alauddin also undertook measures to improve public welfare. He constructed forts, roads and irrigation systems to strengthen defenses and enhance agricultural productivity. Markets for essential goods ensured food availability at affordable prices for common people. This is the end of this video. I hope you liked it and useful for your exams. Please subscribe to my channel. This is my request, and hit the bell icon to get the further videos. Please like it and share it. Your comment is vital for me to make further videos. So please do comment on it. I wish you good luck. Do well in your exams. Do well in your life. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you.